Okay, thank you everybody for attending. Today we have the lovely broadcaster Edith Bowman joining us from her car. Thank you for joining us.
Sorry, guys.
And so this is our Women in Media session, our last for the year, and we're going to end on a good note. So Edith, if you would mind just telling us how you got into your career, how it started out, just basically from the beginning, that would be absolutely amazing.
Well, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I left school. The careers department were not one of the best points of my school, if I'm going to be honest. It was just knowing what the options were, to be honest. There wasn't really many presented to me. So I actually applied to PE college and got into Moray House in Edinburgh, just outside Edinburgh, to be a PE teacher. And weirdly, the acceptance letter was the thing that sort of shook me into going, don't really think this is what I want to do. And so I ended up going to Fife College to do an HND in communication studies. And that was amazing because it was a real menu of things that I was interested in. And so from that, I then went on to the degree at Edinburgh to Queen Margaret College to do the degree. And that was amazing. And just before I started my degree, I sent probably weekly letters to the programme controller at my local radio station going, geese a job, basically. And it was so funny because I think he just got so bored of me phoning and sending letters. This was before the days of email, I should add, that he was like, oh my God, please get this girl in to get her to shut up or leave me alone. So he got me in, and long story short, he gave me some work experience. And that was kind of the start of it really for me. It was about kind of finding this place that I liked and I kind of submerged myself in the whole thing, to be honest, because it was important to get an understanding of all the different departments. So I started off by helping out Jan in the library and filing away CDs and making tea and just watching and observing and being a bit of a human sponge. And that just kind of made me realise I liked it. And I think that's a really important thing, is like finding the things that you like, that you want to... Oh, okay. I was just following this.
Oh, sorry. All right.
Yeah.
Okay then. Okay.
So it was just a case of doing that and kind of working out what was good for me, what wasn't good for me, what I liked and what I didn't like, and then from there, I kind of, when I graduated, my boss was like, there wasn't enough full-time work for me. I was doing 2 shows a week by that point, but my boss was like, I'll do you a bit. My boss was like, there's not enough full-time work for you, so I was like, well, do you know what, I'm out of here. So I ended up coming back down and going to London. I got a place on a trainee, like a graduate trainee scheme, which was for sponsorship and promotions. And whilst I was there, I sent my show reel off to MTV, got the MTV gig, and then I've worked my arse off since.
MTV must have been amazing. I remember watching.
Oh, it was nuts.
I mean, if that was one of your first main jobs, meeting all these celebrities, I mean, what was it like?
It was a proper pinch me moment, to be honest. I mean, I've still got this great picture of my mum and dad with a picture of themselves by the telly with me doing my first news broadcast, like going, she's on the telly. And it was amazing. It was amazing. But I think what was really nice was, like, from that point on, I just decided that you've got to just approach it like they're just people. You know, I grew up in a hotel, and so I was constantly surrounded by people and having to ask questions and talk and communicate with people. So I think that was an amazing training ground, weirdly, for me to go into this world of celebrity, but try and approach them as people rather than as celebrity. And that's, I guess, what I try and do day in, day out, really, whether it's, you know, a first-time director or, I don't know, someone like Steven Spielberg or Quentin Tarantino. It's like you've got to try and just treat them as their people, and as you would, whether it be your, I don't know, somebody who's you know, walking down the street you're saying hello to, or whether it's somebody that you're interviewing for a director's job.
And tell us the move that you had from Scotland down to London, because obviously that's quite a big move for somebody when you're younger and you've just graduated. I spent a bit of time in London as well, and I know how that feels. So can you tell us a wee bit about that move?
It was incredibly lonely, actually, when I first moved down. I was lucky that I moved down and I stayed with friends of my mum and dad's for a wee while, which was just outside London. But there was a big old commitment to them to help get me settled and just kind of show me around, really, to be honest, because I relied on them quite a bit. But that was really nice because it almost felt a bit like having a family is close by, because you kind of get dropped in this massive metropolis, and unless you've already got a bit of a tribe or a group of friends there already, it's hard. I had a lovely bunch of people that I met when I did my graduate training scheme, because we all went through the scheme together. And then as soon as I started at MTV, I found a really amazing bunch and made friends with people who are still my friends today, because we all kind of started together and went through a lot together. So that was really important. But it was very, very lonely to start with, but also really exciting. You know, the opportunities felt like they were endless. And I think that part of it is you've got to it depends, you get out of it how much you put into it, really.
Right, Edith, I'm just going to hand over to the students now. They've got a few questions for you. And
Oh, amazing.
we're going to start with one of our radio students, Jess, if you've got the first question.
Hi, Jess.
Hi, Edith. Thanks for meeting with us today. My question for you is, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
Well, pace yourself, definitely. Would be, I don't know, try and remember more. I think that there was so much going on that it's about, yes, and I think you learn from your mistakes, so you can't expect or predict everything to run smoothly. And I think that all those things that go wrong are the things that you learn from, and the things that give you more skills that you don't even realize you need for further down the line.
Lovely, thank you. So Ailey, you've got the next question.
Have you ever had any imposter syndrome? And if you have, how did you address it?
I still have imposter syndrome. I don't think it ever goes away, to be honest. I still deal with that on a daily basis, where I kind of go, what right have I got to be here? The imposter syndrome thing, I think, is an ongoing thing, and I haven't quite worked out how to deal with that, to be honest. I think because I really love what I do, that's part of the problem, is that you kind of go, what right have I got to be here, you know? But I think they kind of mix as well with a bit of the kind of the nerves thing. I kind of like being nervous because it keeps me alert and on the ball, and kind of reaffirms that I'm doing the right thing for now. And I think when I don't get nervous, I think that's a sign that there's a complacency there, and so it's my maybe time to do something different. So that's kind of, but the imposter syndrome is just, messes with your head all the time, really.
Okay, cool. So Isla has our next question.
I was just wondering, if you were to recruit an intern, what would be the key criteria that you would look for?
Hi, Isla.
Hello.
Oh, an intern. I'd love an intern. Hi. I think, listen, I've heard some amazing stories, and I've worked with some amazing interns, gone on to be like Jenny, who now produces Greg James' Breakfast Show and stuff. Jenny was an intern at Radio 1 when I was there. So the internship programme at the BBC is really successful and really, really good. But I think that for me, in terms of what I would look for an intern, which is something that I'm kind of looking at, it's about being multifunctional. It's about not having one skill. It's about having a whole kind of plethora of skills. Keeping abreast of like social media particularly is such a big thing at the minute, in terms of being across the different platforms, knowing how the different platforms work, how to navigate them, and what the best way of using them is, because they've all listening is really important, I think, you know, in terms of, don't just be a kind of shy wallflower. And if you've got an opinion, or if you disagree with something, don't be scared to say it. I hope that's helpful.
Yep, Great, thank you. Alex, one of our TV students, has a question.
Hello, Alex.
Hello, this will probably be my first of many, don't worry. Get done in with my voice. So my first question is, what changes would you like to see within your profession that would help improve career opportunities for other women?
Well, I have been very lucky, to be honest, in that I have worked with a lot of amazing women on lots of different productions. I think what needs to change is the management level. So it's almost like women can progress and then it plateaus, and then it's kind of sort of middle-aged white men in suits that then run everything above that. So I feel that, however, that is definitely, like, I can see changes happening. Someone like Lorna Clark, for example, who used to work at the BBC, who's progressed up and she's now head of music, and is it music? I can't remember what her official title is at the BBC, but Lorna's an amazing example of a woman of colour as well, who's kind of progressed up into management ranks. Not the top management levels yet, but I think that for me is where I'd really like to see more change, is these kind of stuffy men who've been in the roles for, you know, generations need to bugger off and give the roles to better equipped women. Sounds
good. Good answer. Lucy has our next question.
Hi, Lucy.
Hello. I'd just like to ask, what's been the proudest achievement of your career?
Of my career? Setting up my podcast, actually, because it kind of came out of frustration. I was working at Six Music at the time, and I won't bore you with the kind of details. Anyway, there wasn't a regular slot for me to do that show every week. And so I got really frustrated, and I just decided to launch my own podcast about film and music. So my friend Ben and I and this was before kind of podcasts had kind of exploded, so we didn't really quite know how to do it. But we managed to kind of get advice from a few people, and we launched it, and that was August 2016, and we have released an episode every week bar 2 since then. And it's just the two of us that work on it. I book the guests, record the audio, send it on to him, and then he edits it and puts it up on the platform, and I've got to try and keep up with all the social stuff, hence why I need an intern. That's my proud event. Very, very proud of, because it's a conversation that we want to be out there.
Cool. Okay, we're going back to Jess for another question.
Yes, Jess, question number 2.
Yes, number 2. It actually leads really well into my next question, because I know you've got Sound Tracking, which is your podcast, and we're all radio students. We were wondering, what is the difference for you between radio and podcasting?
Well, it depends. So I've got quite a few podcasts on the go at the minute. Some are independent, some are with Radio 2. And there's a very big difference between independent podcasts and podcasts that come out of traditional broadcasters, if that's how you'd call them. For me, the beauty in being able to launch my own podcast was control. No one's telling me who the guests have to be. No one's telling me how long the episode needs to be. Nobody's telling me what the content and cutting out things. I mean, they're raw. They're as they were. They're as we want them to be. Nobody's dictating to us what we should be doing. So that's the one thing that I love about an independent podcast, is that we're our own bosses.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry, Alex.
No, I love chatting. I'm happy to speak again. I was wondering, on all your shows that you do, you create such a comfortable atmosphere for anyone that you're interviewing. I was wondering if there's like a technique that you go in with, or if it just comes naturally to you to like really get the best out of all of your guests.
It's just being yourself, really. I mean, I try not to be anybody different than when I'm on camera or mic than when I'm off. So it's just trying to treat people, like going back to that thing that I was saying about treating them as people. So I kind of, it's not being scared to, I can probably be a bit guilty of being too gushy sometimes with people, but that's just because I'm genuinely sort of like, imposter syndrome, can't believe that I'm there doing it. Like, don't get me started on Steven Spielberg. I mean, I came downstairs after interviewing him for the podcast and cried. So, you know, I kind of like, I think that, I don't know, I think that I do my homework, I do my research, so I know everything that I need there kind of in the memory bank. And so I try and, you know, enthuse about the things that I want to enthuse about, and hopefully that kind of rubs off. But I think it's just being genuine and being honest with people, really, I hope.
Sounds good. Okay, who's got another question? Looking for these hands to go up. Alex, you keep going, Alex, until someone else is brave enough.
That's what happens because I'm extremely nosy.
That's another good thing to be, is nosy. That's what I always say. I'm just nosy. That's why I like what I do.
That's fine, because I always say it as a joke, but if it's a good thing, I'll keep going. You spoke, I was listening to you on the Thanks a Million podcast.
Yeah.
You spoke a lot about the negativity that you got on your accent when you first were going into the industry. Is that something that, did you work on that to change that at all? Or did you really feel like you needed to stick to your guns to be who you were?
I fought against it. I didn't want to lose me. I didn't want to lose my identity. And so I probably would have had a career, well, I don't know. I mean, I maybe would have had a career earlier if I'd gone for elocution lessons and done what a lot of people said I needed to do. But I didn't want to lose me. That's who I am. That's my accent is who I am. And I didn't want to lose that or be what someone else wanted me to be. I needed to kind of stay true to my identity, I guess. Is that okay?
Yes, yeah, perfect. I tell you what, I've got a question. You present Transmit for BBC Scotland. Tell us about that. I mean, you obviously did Tea in the Park as well, and you're now Transmit. What is it about the music festivals that you love?
Oh, I love enthusing about music, really. You know, that's kind of where I started, really, at MTV. And so the festivals are just a great way of taking that big stage to an audience, really. You know, those people who can't be in that field, who can't be experiencing it. It's kind of my job to try and translate that through the screen and tell them what it's like, and that combination of, like, you know, big bands, but then also showcasing some new talent. That's a great thing about Transmit, is that we get to bring in some of those really unknown or smaller bands onto our little acoustic stage, bring them into the studio so they can showcase, and that's been amazing to do as well. So I mean, you know, and also just kind of showing off about how great the Scottish audiences are is always a good bonus, really.
Just speak a bit more about that then. Do you feel as if you're at home then when you're talking about Scottish audiences? Do you feel a bit more relaxed?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I tried my hardest to get work in Scotland when I was starting out. I tried everything. There was just nobody was giving me an opportunity. There wasn't that much going on up in Scotland, which is why I had to move to London. Otherwise, I wasn't going to be able to follow my dream, really. So that's why I moved, really. And obviously now there's loads of great opportunities up in Scotland. I was lucky enough that I was doing the Key sessions. We started that thing, obviously, and that's kind of, you know, but then I had to leave that because I got a breakfast show. And so, you know, this is, as much as I can, I always try and get back up the road to do, you know, whether it's the Scottish BAFTAs or Hogmanay or Transmit. Any opportunity to kind of be in Scotland and tell Scottish stories and enthuse about Scotland is a given for me. But you know, I had to leave because I wanted to work. I wanted to try and see if I could make it in, you know, in the industry that I wanted to be in. So to do that, I had to leave. And whilst I was away, I met my husband. We've had kids. You know, we set up a family, and we've located out to Gloucestershire and stuff. So you know, it's great to come back to Scotland at any opportunity, really, to work and enthuse about all things Scottish.
Cool. Alex, you keep going with another question.
I noted that you have a lot of like female friends within the industry. Was there ever a point, especially like in early years of your career, that you felt like you're being compared to them, or there was like a pressure to compete against them?
Not really, because there was a whole gang of us started together. So there was me and Kat in terms of MTV UK anyway, there was some of the girls that brought into MTV UK who'd already been doing stuff like Coxie had been doing the girly show and stuff like that. But because Christine Boer, who was our boss at MTV UK and got us in, she really wanted to, I think she picked us all based on us all having really different things about us and personalities. And so she really wanted to kind of show that off and kind of put us together to emphasize and show off certain things. So I've never really felt that. I think the industry tries to sort of compete, put you in competition with each other. The age thing can sometimes be something that's sort of branded around, particularly within Radio 1, because you've got a kind of life expectancy more so there than everywhere else. But that's less of an issue now, which is great because it's only a number. But yeah, I've never really felt in competition with my kind of female contemporaries really, which is quite nice actually.
Good.
I think it actually helped having a lot of these, like you could like club together and sort of like
absolutely
one.
Yeah, and kind of, you know, soundboard off each other and kind of help each other and, you know, kind of look out for each other as well, really.
Cool.
And that goes for like females behind the scenes as well, not just kind of female on-air talent. I feel like I've always had a really great gang of girls around to look out for me, like behind the scenes as well. So that's really important.
Okay, we'll take another couple of questions in so that Edith can go on with her journey. Anybody else? Or we're just going to let Alex keep asking them? Right, Alex, you just finish us off.
I see a very good future for Alex.
Alex, I'm going to jump in. Katie, you've got a question.
Hi. I was just wondering, obviously, like you were mentioning about like working like Transmat and like obviously working with like MTV and music and stuff like that. I know like you've mentioned it on like your podcast and your book and stuff. But like since writing your book, would you say that you've got like more to add about festivals, like obviously like with the emergency transmit and stuff like that, or like is it pretty much all the same?
I think that what's interesting is I'm very lucky is that I get a really good insight into festivals from various kind of areas, really, be that through work, but then also I'm really lucky because my husband's in a band and so he's traveling around playing festivals all the time. Well, this summer he's back with a really busy summer, and I've been lucky to go to quite a few European festivals. So I feel like I've had a really nice insight into a really vast array of them, to be honest, and that's been amazing to see and to explore. And yeah, and it's I think that each one almost has a really different USP, to be honest.
To finish off, tell us which you prefer, TV or radio?
I can't separate them because they both feed each other. Radio is the kind of live thing about radio is that you are kind of, you know, you're on your toes. You never know what's going to happen. So that's what I love about radio. And then TV is just a great medium, just because it's a big team effort. It's crew, and you know, I love doing the festivals and the crew there. You know, whether it's Isle of Wight or Transmit and stuff, but you're working with the same crew. So the live thing on radio really kind of feeds being able to do TV, I think, as well. But I feel really lucky that I'm able to do both. So I can't choose, like picking a child, and I've got two of them.